So Faraway Lucas, what is your favourite Green Lantern moment from a comic book, a TV show, or a movie?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about Green Lantern. Like, that's one of the DC characters I'm less familiar with. But I do like the throw in Injustice where they build up a brick wall just to kick someone's face through it.
I knew you were going to say that because that's my favourite Green Lantern moment too. The fact that the Green Lantern's back throw in Injustice is just, well, as you said, he builds a brick wall out of willpower and then kicks your face right through it, which is kind of in keeping with the idea of being a Green Lantern. Because did you know, folks at home, that in DC comic canon, Green Lanterns can do anything? In DC Comics canon, the Green Lanterns are among the most physically powerful beings in the entire universe, provided they're wearing their lime green pimp rings, an inconspicuous piece of jewellery widely considered to be the singular most powerful weapon in the universe, provided it's wielded by someone with a big enough dick.
The thing is, obviously we're going to probably talk about it more, but obviously one of the limitations on the Green Lantern is always the fact they've got to keep their ring charged.
Yes.
And how do you think that would work nowadays in the EU, where they've got to be charged by USB-C via law?
Like, the edge of the ring just doesn't fit into the Green Lantern lantern. Well, you've actually jumped a little bit ahead on the original article here, Lucas, because before that, we've got to discuss the rings themselves. For anyone unfamiliar with what like a Green Lantern ring is, basically it is just a conduit through which a chosen Green Lantern channels a nigh infinite amount of power.
In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light!
Green Lantern Corps, Lucas, you said you're not too familiar with them, but you're probably familiar with the fact that like the Green Lanterns are up there with Superman in DC power scaling.
Of course, yeah. Like, I did watch Justice League Unlimited as a kid and things like that, but obviously the most modern representation that we've got is like a shitty Ryan Reynolds film.
Yeah, and then he's in that, Kill the Justice League game, where...
Oh god, he is! Oh, I forgot that game existed!
Yeah, everybody did, because no one cared about that game, and everyone in its mind controlled, because they couldn't even commit to the idea of evil Justice League. The one interesting thing about that game is that it has an evil Justice League. They couldn't even commit to that.
And then, I think, spoilers ahead for a game no one gives a shit about, but I'm pretty sure it's then revealed later on that they were all like clones of the original Justice League as well, so they couldn't even commit to killing them off.
Which is what makes it even funnier. It's like, they couldn't commit to making them evil, but then made them clones because they couldn't commit to killing them, which means that if they were clones and you don't care, why can't you kill the clones and have the real Justice League turn up? You couldn't commit twice. The fuck? Like, they didn't have the willpower to commit, and Joe would have the willpower? A Green Lantern, because that is basically the only constraint on what a given Green Lantern can do. The other one being their own sense of creativity. So, to be a truly powerful Green Lantern, you need to have a near indomitable sense of will, and just a very creative mind.
And if I can remember rightly, in the awful Ryan Reynolds film, I'm pretty sure they call him out for having a bit of a lack of imagination when they're training him.
They do, yes. And I actually do like that film, or at least some aspects of it, specifically in regards to how the Lantern's powers are shown. For example, like when Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern is training, it's like, oh, he drops some girders on him, and Ryan Reynolds builds like a thing out of his imagination to protect himself. And then, like, it crumples because his sense of will is weak. So then he reinforces it with more girders. That's really interesting.
I'm gonna work you, and I'm gonna hit you until your will is strong enough to be worthy of the core.
Or like when a car crashes and he turns it into like a Hot Wheels track. That's really interesting. Or like when he's fighting Parallax, who, Parallax is just a big cloud, kind of fucking sucks, but when he's like getting dragged into the gravity of the sun, and he imagines and builds out of his imagination 2 jets that stop him from getting sucked into the gravitational pull. That's really interesting. That's super fun. The rest of the film just sucks.
Yeah, I do find it funny though, because as far as I can remember, after calling him out for a lack of creativity, they show no creativity themselves other than just like, I'm going to imagine a big fist.
To master the ring, you must learn to focus your will and create what you see in your mind. The ring's limits are only what you can imagine.
Yeah, and that's normally the problem with Green Lantern in like the wider media outside of comic books, where they establish that, oh, the Green Lantern ring can do anything, and then like, I love John Stewart in like Justice League Unlimited, but I will call out the fact that all he ever does is just fire a beam with his ring.
Bought yourself a world of it, Shadow Fiend!
The most he ever does is create the bubble or fire a beam, because, you know, animation budget couldn't handle him creating, like, say, a brick wall and kicking someone through it. Like, the most interesting thing he does with his ring is help the Flash by creating a runway in space that is nigh infinite for the Flash to run along with a bomb. And that's super, again, super interesting. I wish there was more of that in, like, you know, wider media featuring the Green Lantern, because most of the time it's just beep.
But Carl, did he create the gravity for Flash to run on the runway?
Well, the thing is, they don't say that he does, but he probably could.
Next lesson. Feel that? That's the gravitational pull of your average sun.
And as you mentioned earlier, Lucas, a Green Lantern ring does have to recharge. However, the source from which a Green Lantern ring draws its power, like the central power conduit on Oa, I can't believe how much of this is just in my mind without the script. I just know this. I hate that I know this, but also very handy for this video. That reserve of energy is effectively infinite, and to date in the comics, they have never established whether there is a upper limit on the creative or destructive potential of someone wielding the power they draw from it. And because of that, the power rings that the Green Lanterns use are capable of some frankly mind-bogglingly stupid feats of ass-pulling. Because that's the thing, the Green Lantern ring is just the ass-pull device. Like, do you know what? Batman always has an answer for what he needs, and they always like hand wave it away of like, well, just he planned really hard.
And that's the thing, the Green Lantern could do the same thing without any planning.
Yeah, and they don't even need to plan, the ring just does it on its own. And I think, in regards to Batman ass-pulling, my favourite example that I always bring up is when he beats the Flash, a character who, in one comic, admits that they can perceive time in the scale of an attosecond. In regards to what an attosecond is, I believe, like, the lay explanation I've heard is, it's an attosecond to a second is what a second is to the time from the beginning of the universe to now. And the Flash can perceive time in that scale. And Batman beats him by building a $1 trillion supercomputer that can calculate just so fast that it can predict what the Flash is going to do, and it sprays some oil down the floor and the Flash slips on it and breaks his leg. And that's how Batman beats the Flash. And it's like, come on! A character who in one comic, this is not making it ill, right? In one comic in the future of DC, they say that, I think, is it Central City where the Flash lives?
Yeah.
They say Central City, there's just this thing called the Blur, because they don't know what the Flash is anymore, because it's been like decades since the Flash was a hero, and he's become one with the Speed Force, and all he decided to do is, I'm just going to micromanage my hometown. And he just says that he exists in all parts of the city simultaneously because he's that fast. And they tell stories of, like, if you drop a coffee cup, it just appears in your hand again. And they credit it to the red blur, and that's just the Flash. And then Batman beats him by tripping him up with a robot. Because he planned real hard.
Because he's Batman, Carl.
He's Batman, yeah. And the Green Lantern, it's so good, right?
I did just double check for anyone curious, and an attosecond is quantified as 1/quintillionth of a second.
Yeah. And the Flash can perceive time in that, but then Batman builds a really fast computer. And, like, you know, just one day we will do a video on just the most ass-pull things Batman's ever done. Today we're talking about the Green Lanterns, and as mentioned, the Green Lantern rings a lot of things for the Green Lantern without them actually having to consciously will it to do so. For example, you ever wonder why all of the Green Lanterns wear the same outfit? That's because just the Green Lantern ring gives them that uniform. Also, have you wondered why, despite the fact that all the Green Lanterns hail from a multitude of races, creeds, and like just different parts of the universe where their communication method isn't the same as ours, but they can all talk to each other, the Green Lantern ring also acts as a universal translator that is completely faultless. And that's how, for example, Hal Jordan can talk to a guy who has, I shit you not, Lucas, a volcano for a head. You're probably thinking, no, there's not a Green Lantern who has a volcano for a head. Here's a Green Lantern who has a volcano for a head.
Fucking hell.
Hal Jordan can talk to him because just the Green Lantern ring lets him do so. There's also a Green Lantern, someone out there, who is a living algebraic equation. There's another one who hails from a universe where there's no light, and he can somehow control and harness the power of light, and he has a unique Green Lantern call that like relies on sound instead of light. It's ridiculous. And the Green Lantern ring allows all of these like crazy-ass creatures to communicate with one another flawlessly. It also gives them a uniform, and the uniform, while identifying them as a member of the Green Lantern Corps, it hides their identity. So you know that thing of like, well, all Hal Jordan's doing is like Ryan Reynolds putting on a domino mask. Why does no one recognise him? It's Ryan Reynolds. They say that that's just like a visual thing. The Green Lantern ring actually hides your identity.
Hal?
Miss.
Hal? Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god, Hal!
It's like a visual representation of a perfect disguise.
Yeah. And the reason why no one recognises someone when they're in Green Lantern uniform without the Green Lantern willing them to be able to do so is because just the ring protects their identity.
Because that's the thing, if I was aware that there was a guy with a volcano for a head, and then a Green Lantern came with a volcano for a head, I might maybe recognise them.
You might, yeah, but that's the thing. But when he's wearing his Green Lantern ring, it hides his identity. And the one exception to this, or the most famous exception to this, is the Green Lantern John Stewart, who refused to wear his domino mask because he's black.
Right.
And that's a story for another day. But
Yeah.
so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Your style's played out, Hal.
Nobody slings a ring like me.
Some of us do it even better.
Because that's the title of that Fact Fiend video when it eventually gets made of John Stewart doesn't wear a mask because he's black. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, I'm going to click that. And before we move on, Lucas, just the fact that a Green Lantern ring, without you doing anything, can let you talk to someone who doesn't have a head. That's pretty powerful, right?
Who doesn't live in a universe that perceives the same things as you do.
Like, there's a Green Lantern who is a living algebraic equation, and you can talk to them. No, you can go have coffee with that guy. It's great. Also, as well, do you like that cool like force field around a Green Lantern that lets them fly through space? That's not a thing they have to will the ring to do; it just does it automatically. And that force field is nigh impenetrable. So just by wearing it, you are able to communicate with all life in the universe, fly at near light speed, and are protected from the the danger of space without having to do anything. And then on top of that, you can create anything you want with your mind.
Could you then talk to an algebraic equation that isn't a Green Lantern, or do both parties require it?
No. Well, that's the beauty of the ring. It lets you communicate with all life in the universe because the Green Lantern Corps is like basically the universal police force. So they need to be able to communicate with all life in the universe.
Boo, Universal Police.
Basically, he's a big cop.
Yeah.
And that probably goes some way to explaining why, like, John Stewart, Green Lantern, refuses to hide his identity. And I do like the one thing I do like about John Stewart Green Lantern, that's not to do with that video that will get made just at some point. I've got like 400 Fact Fiend articles that have yet to be turned into videos. Is that he's an engineer. So they say that John Stewart's constructs are the strongest of any Green Lantern because as an engineer, he doesn't just like say imagine a brick wall. He imagines a reinforced brick wall and can imagine the process of laying down each brick by brick. And because of that, his constructs are the strongest of any lantern.
Yeah, like, he's building them down to, like... It doesn't it say that he's building it down to, like, atomic scale at times or something?
And lanterns who don't have the mind of an engineer will create different things. Like Hal Jordan was a fighter pilot, so he creates, like, military equipment. Or Sinestro, because he's evil and he's from an alien planet, he creates stuff that makes people scared with his yellow lantern ring, at least anyway.
Yes, yeah.
And that's okay. That's all the stuff that the ring can do on its own, without the user's input. With the user's input, it allows people to do things like create wormholes into which they create a giant hand that could dunk a sun like a plasma basketball, travelling through time, phasing an object into or out of existence, and then creating an entire pocket dimension into which they can trap a tiny wizard. That's not me making something up, that actually happened in one comic book. And people at home are probably thinking, is there anything a Green Lantern ring can't do? And Lucas, if you were a writer, what would be the one thing you would make it so that a Green Lantern ring couldn't do so that it doesn't become broken OP? And I'll give you a clue. Think of like, you know, when you get a genie's wish. What's like usually the one rule that you have when it comes to like wishing for something?
It can't get more wishes, so either that you can't make more Green Lantern rings, or you can't get infinite energy.
Yeah, that's what you think would be the limit on a Green Lantern ring, right? That you can't use it to make more Green Lantern rings. And that's why I compared it to a genie's wish, because a genie says you can wish for anything, but you get 3 of them, and that's why you can't wish for more wishes. Similarly, a Green Lantern ring can do near enough anything, but it does eventually run out of power, forcing you to recharge it. And that'd be the limit I'd put on a Green Lantern ring, but it turns out that, no. If you have a strong enough sense of willpower, you can actually use a Green Lantern ring to create another Green Lantern ring, which has all the powers and abilities of the first one, which you can then use to make another Green Lantern ring.
That's what I was wondering, because I was like, what's more powerful? Creating 10 Green Lantern rings and giving them to you all like the Justice League, or just putting 10 on at once?
And that's the thing, yeah. And you might think, Lucas, well, surely that's the limit, right? What more could you possibly do than just creating another one? Well, did you know, in one comic, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern who's widely considered to have the strongest sense of will in the entire DC universe, once created a Green Lantern ring out of nothing by crystallizing his own focused willpower.
What?
Which, remember, he could then theoretically use to just make another Green Lantern ring, and then another, and then another. So
he didn't even need one Green Lantern ring to make his own Green Lantern ring?
No, his sense of willpower was so strong, he just willed it into existence, and then could wield it like a regular Green Lantern ring. And do you know,
that's some bullshit.
Yeah, do you know like in God of War Ragnarok, where you like Dropnir, and Sindri drops Dropnir like 1,000... He's like, oh god, no! He's like that!
Oh, I'm gonna miss you, little one.
Just Green Lantern rings fucking everywhere.
Yeah, so like the title of this one is A Green Lantern Ring Can Do Theoretically Anything. I wasn't joking, because it realistically can. There's no limit to what it can do. And even if you took it off him, even if you took the ring off him, he'd just make another one. And I always say it's the ultimate ass pull. It's literally an ass pull, because it looks like Hal Jordan's pulling out his ass. It's like, okay, we've taken your ring away, you're not powerful anymore. Bam! 10 rings, let's go.
The real question is, though, Karl, could Green Lantern bring a hard light version of Goku to Will so that we could have Goku v Superman?
He probably could. Like, there's one comic where the Green Lantern is like, oh, he's in the middle, he's floating through space at 1 billion miles an hour. He's like, well, I'm kind of bored. I know. And he uses a Green Lantern ring to make a 50s style diner, in which he goes and sits down and eats food while he's travelling through the universe.
So he can produce food as well?
Yeah. Not that he needs to, because the Green Lantern ring just sustains the lantern forever. They don't need oxygen or food or energy, but if they want to, they can create food out of it.
I thought everything that it makes is made of hard light. You can't eat hard light.
Yeah, but Lucas, you forget this is DC, where it's like, just fuck it, shut up. That's the thing. The answer to this is shut up. So, wait, why can Batman build a computer that can think faster than the Flash? Shut up. And that's the thing. Do you know what they say? Because he's Batman. And everyone just accepts that. It should be because he's the Green Lantern. Because he really believes real hard. Really, really hard. Done. Fuck you. Great.
He believed that he could, so he did.
Yep. And I never know how to feel about characters like this, because admittedly, it's very funny to imagine the Green Lantern, like I said, creating a 50s style diner while he's floating through space at, a quantifiable percentage of the speed of light. But at the same time, the fact he can do anything makes it really boring.
It's like a character with completely undefined limits. How do you make that interesting?
Yeah, it's not like you can ever introduce anything that's going to pose a threat to them when you've already established that the Green Lantern ring lets you do anything. And then you think the one thing you could do is, okay, take the ring away from him or let it run out of energy. But then they established in one comic book, well, he can just make a ring out of nothing. Okay, so now that's not even a threat anymore, right? It's like Superman of like, what's his one weakness? Well, kryptonite. And then in like some comics before they reboot the universe 5 times, kryptonite doesn't work. Okay, then red solar radiation. Then there's another comic where they literally threw Superman into a red sun and he flew out. It's like, okay, so now that doesn't work. He
learned how to get better. It's like, oh.
It's like, what's Batman? What's the limit to his power? It's like, okay, well, he's rich. We'll take away his money. It's like, oh no, but he actually secretly buried like $8 billion in offshore accounts, like a real businessman. Oh, just send him back in time, and he flies back through time as a pirate. It's like, god damn it. So remember we talked about like Harley Quinn on Wiki Weekends, which is back. And he's like, oh yeah, Harley Quinn basically went into the hyperbolic time chamber for 4,000 years and came out as a master of all martial arts.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't just have her as, okay, she just robs, like, supermarkets with, like, clown-themed weaponry. She has to now be, like, you know, on par with Superman in a fist fight.
She can't just be the sidekick to the Joker, who is just a random insane dude.
And it's something we've talked about, isn't it, in relation to Wiki Weekends, like, you know, the side channel we both run. We don't tend to cover DC characters because they're really boring, because there's always something written in there where it's like, well, they can do anything. And then being able to do anything means there's no stakes or drama to any of the stories featuring them.
And obviously, when it's built as each individual story has a different rule set and different power set of characters, like, obviously they all roughly have the same abilities each time, but each writer stretches those definitions a little bit differently. But when it's just a wiki full of every iteration combined, it's like, oh, they could do everything.
Yeah, as we mentioned Harley Quinn earlier, I always assumed, because I'd not caught up with DC Comics in a while, well, Harley Quinn, she's like, you know, I know she started dating, what is it now, Poison Ivy for a little bit. It's like, I'm sure, like, you know, she's got some, like, new fun adventures, and we just, I think the moment we got onto the wiki in the episode of, oh, she fell into a time portal and trained in all forms of combat for a millennia, me and you just both went,
so, right, okay, yeah, sure, just, I get it, you want Harley Quinn to be able to fight the Justice League, even though that's not what the character was created for, but yeah.
She was literally created for the Batman animated series because they didn't want the Joker talking to himself. Because they realised the Joker's a really fun character, but we want him to be able to talk with someone who's as crazy as he is, so they made up Harley Quinn.
Which, realistically, if you could make that work for any character talking to themselves, it would be the Joker, but still Harley's a great invention.
They wanted him to have like a foil. Like Batman has a sidekick, so they wanted to give the Joker one as well.
You know, he's got to have a partner to be able to beat up children with crowbars with Karl. Can't do it on his own.
Speaking of ass pulls and like beating people with crowbars, did you ever see that like super just like, oh no, like instant retcon they did with the Arkham games in regards to Harley? Do you know about this?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so there was like a moment in one of the Arkham games where you fight Harley Quinn and Batman walks in and fucking just beats her ass. Do you know, like one of those like those takedowns from those games? He does that to Harley Quinn. But then, later in the game, you find like a bunch of pregnancy tests saying that Harley Quinn was pregnant.
And if you look down, there's actually this pregnancy test here, and it says that Harley Quinn, we're assuming, is pregnant with Joker's child.
And then they released that Harley Quinn DLC, where they established that note was a false positive because they didn't realise how fucking bad that looked.
Yeah, how did no one flag that before they put it out?
And then, like I said, they released the DLC. Like, they retconned the fuck out of that in the DLC that starred Harley.
Patch that the fuck out. Holy fuck.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, even the Batman games can't escape being retconned within their own lifetime.
Let's just remember a more fun period of the Arkham games where just in Arkham Asylum, they were like, hey, there's still one secret no one's found. It's like, yeah, because you had to put explosive gel on one random wall in one random corridor that was completely unmarked.
I think my favourite thing is, like, I played, like, the Arkham games a bit late. And I reckon, like, the Arkham games are way better if you play it with only detective vision on and it just looks like Batman's been attacked by skeletons. I played it exclusively in detective mode, just because then it always looks like Batman's been attacked by skeletons. Like, that makes the game way scarier.
They basically had to start putting in enemies that would like jam your detective vision and stuff because they realised this game is a beautiful game, but every fucker just plays it in like this blue detective vision.
I still remember as well, like, the mission where it's like, oh no, like, just random goons in Arkham are like beating the Batmobile, which is bulletproof and rocket launcher proof, with steel bars. And you've got a mission of like go like activate the sonic jammer that just like incapacitates them. It's like, really, Batman? They're hitting your bulletproof car with sticks. Or like
the car that you've literally built to be able to take that kind of punishment.
What's the one where you get the Batmobile and they had to, because like obviously Batman doesn't kill people. He will ram the Batmobile into people at 100 miles an hour. But they had to put in like the little animation of like the taser bursting off, right?
A little lightning bolt that shoots them away from the car before it hits them at like potentially 100 plus miles an hour, which means that you're still jolting their body with force away from the car with enough speed to avoid that 100 plus mile an hour car.
And I always love like the reaching they will try to do. It's like, no, Batman doesn't kill people. It reminds me of like the Spider-Man games. Like, how much, during those like PS4 and PS5 Spider-Man games, like, what's the first thing you do when you're fighting a bunch of enemies on a rooftop? You immediately try and throw them off, right?
And then, or they've got the little, like, spider bot that grabs them and pulls them into the building.
You know what? I respect that so much more than the Batman thing of, like, oh no, the little taser. It's like they're still getting hit by a tank going 400 miles an hour. There's no and then they're landing on solid concrete. There's no way they're surviving that shit. And the city has no resources because all the emergency services have been like kicked out of like Gotham. The Spider-Man example is like, we know Spider-Man has a direct line to the cops, and we see, cause I tried real hard to get people far enough away from a building where they can't latch on, and I don't think I ever managed to not have the person attached to a building and be okay.
Yeah, I really tried. I really tried to make it work, but it gets you every time.
This is why I like these so much, because they're so much fun. Because you just get to play around. Like, with enemies, like, just do this shit like this, just go.
What? Oh, God. Spider-Man, have mercy.
You know what? Just for the hell of it. Fuck you! I had to do it, Lucas. When me and you play through like Spider-Man PS4, I'll put in the clip of this because it always cracks me up off. When I made you aware of not a bug, but just like something they never thought to fix in the PS4 version of that Spider-Man game, where no character has eyelids. No character has eyelids in that game, except for like no actual character models that they need you to focus on. Which means that all villains always have their eyes open. You might think, well, that's not. What does that matter? Well, it mattered when, I think, we're playing like a random fight, and I threw that flashbang at that criminal, and I hit the flashbang directly in his eyes, and then went into photo mode, you could see that his eyes were open.
Being the only one not wearing orange.
Just 301. Oh, hello. Oh, that's a sable. Oh my god. Lucas, his eyes are open. His eyes are open for maybe the last time. It's just... This is my life now. Oh! All that time where just like hit the guy into a wall and his body's like contorting like all over the joint. There is no longer a man in there. He's just everything is happening to him at once.
Oh dear God!
Like I'm fighting Electro. Look at this. I'm fighting Electro. I'm like sat on him, like reverse fucking God. Spider-Man cowgirl in his ass. Look at that. Look at that. If I saw it in the Kama Sutra, I wouldn't question it.
No.
I fucking love this game. Oh,
the swan dive off him.
The perfect backwards, like the Captain Falcon swan dive.
Yeah.
Lucas, just think about how painful that would be.
Oh God!
Like all of his bones are just slightly bent the wrong way. Oh, this is the one.
Oh,
this is the one. Just. Oh. I'm so sorry. Actually, I'm not. He's a criminal, but.
Oh.
Why are their eyes open when we do this to them, Luca?
Yeah, and his eyes being open implies that he's still conscious.
And again, they just never thought about it. But yeah, cheers for watching, everybody. See you all next time.